Chief Security Officer Jack Mason strode purposefully through the gleaming hallways of the interstellar diplomatic cruiser, Celestial Odyssey. His keen gaze searched for any signs of potential danger as dignitaries from across the galaxy convened for an important summit, one that could impact billions. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught Jack's attention in a nearby corridor. A shadowy figure slipped out of sight. With instinct sharpened, he quickly followed, one hand resting on his sidearm. The safety of the ship and its esteemed guests was his duty, and he couldn't let anything go awry. The figure danced just out of reach, dodging around corners as Jack's heart raced. Was it an assassin or a saboteur? He had to apprehend him. Up ahead, the mysterious person darted through a doorway, and Jack charged after them, bursting into the room with his weapon raised, ready for a confrontation. Instead, he froze as shrieks of shock erupted around him. His jaw dropped in disbelief. He found himself in the women's locker room, surrounded by dozens of half-clad humanoid alien females from various vibrant species. Lithe azure Orions, statuesque golden Serenites, and graceful violet Quintals filled the space. "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry," Jack sputtered, lowering his weapon and quickly averting his eyes as embarrassment surged through him. Heat rushed to his cheeks. What a security chief, he was barging in on a group of naked alien women. There was someone, I didn't mean to. "Hey there," a sultry voice interrupted, and a stunning Azua with periwinkle skin and shimmering silver hair approached him confidently, completely unbothered by her state of undress. "You look like you could use some stress relief, handsome." Her magenta Serenite friend sauntered over with a playful grin. "Protecting us helpless females must be exhausting. Why don't you let us help you unwind?" A violet Quintal beauty with mischief dancing in her eyes added. "We don't bite unless you want us to." Jack gulped, hardly believing the scene unfolding before him. He knew he should apologize and leave, yet something about their exotic charm and teasing demeanor made him hesitate. It had been ages since he'd been with a woman, let alone 3 stunning alien girls. "I guess I could use a break," he found himself saying, feeling a rush of excitement. "Oh, we insist," the Azua said, taking his hand and leading him deeper into the locker room. "I'm Alara, by the way. This is Talia and Nessa. And you are?" "Jack Mason, Chief of Security," he replied, struggling to keep his eyes off their alluring forms as they guided him to a massage table in the corner. "Well, Chief Mason, prepare for your mind to be blown," Talia winked. "And maybe some other things too." Nessa helped him out of his uniform while Alara dimmed the lights. In no time, Jack lay face down on the table, wearing only his boxers. Excitement coursed through him, and though he could hardly believe he was here, the lady's skilled hands quickly erased any hesitation. "Oh, you're so tense," Alara cooed, working her thumbs along his spine. "Let it all go." Talia began working on his legs, while Nessa massaged his scalp and temples. Jack groaned in pleasure, surrendering to their expert touches. The stress of his duties melted away as they continued, their strokes growing bolder. Fingertips grazed the waistband of his boxers, teasingly dipping beneath the fabric, while Nessa's gentle fingers sent shivers down his spine. Jack's arousal strained against the table, the scent of their desire filling the air. When Talia's hand accidentally brushed against him, he let out an involuntary moan. "Oops," she giggled playfully. "Clumsy me. I think our chief is ready for phase 2. "Agreed," Nessa chimed in, her voice teasing. "Look at him. He's already excited." Jack rolled over, and his eyes widened as the 3 beautiful aliens revealed their alluring forms. It was every man's fantasy come to life. Nessa hovered over him, while Alara and Talia focused on his lower body, their presence overwhelming his senses. Pleasure built to a fever pitch, and just as he neared the edge, they eased off, leaving him gasping. Over and over, they brought him to the brink only to pull back. "Please," Jack finally begged, his pride crumbling. What was that, Chief?" "We couldn't quite catch that," Alara teased. "Please, I need to release." "I'll do anything." Talia raised an eyebrow. "How about you join us after the reception tonight? We'll show you the true meaning of interspecies cooperation." "Absolutely," Jack panted, too far gone to think straight. I promise. Good boy, Nessa purred, and then they were all over him in earnest. Talia took the lead, while Alara and Nessa followed in perfect harmony. Waves of overwhelming sensation coursed through him as the trio guided him to his peak. Trembling and shivering, he surrendered all of his tension, utterly spent as the girls looked down at him with satisfied smiles. He had never experienced anything so mind-blowing, and if he kept his promise, this was only the beginning. Just then, alarms blared throughout the ship, jolting Jack from his bliss. Remembering his duties, he scrambled to dress. I have to go, but I'll see you tonight. I swear. The trio blew him kisses as he bolted from the room, his mind spinning. What had he gotten himself into? Intrigue, danger, and the wildest experience of his life awaited him. Arriving at the bridge, slightly breathless, he straightened his uniform. To his relief and embarrassment, he discovered the alarms had been triggered by a sensor malfunction. No real threat existed. As he oversaw repairs, Jack's mind drifted back to his encounter with the enchanting trio, Alara, Talia, and Nessa. He still couldn't fathom that it had truly happened, and that they wanted to see him again tonight. Anxiety intertwined with excitement as he pondered how to slip away unnoticed later. If anyone discovered the chief of security was mingling with the daughters of prominent diplomats, it could ignite a major scandal, or worse, an interstellar incident. Wait, daughters? The realization hit him like a ton of bricks. Those stunning women were the offspring of some of the galaxy's most powerful leaders. Alara's periwinkle skin and silver hair confirmed she was the youngest daughter of the Azua Prime Minister. Talia's magenta complexion marked her as the Serenite Empress's middle child, which meant Nessa was. Oh no, Jack muttered, his head spinning. What had he gotten himself into? He was supposed to be protecting these girls, not getting entangled with them. The remainder of his shift dragged on in a haze of lustful memories and growing unease. Finally relieved, Jack headed straight to his quarters for a cold shower, determined to clear his head. He needed to end this before it spiraled out of control. But as he stepped out of the bathroom, towel hanging low on his hips, he nearly jumped out of his skin. Alara, Talia, and Nessa lounged on his bed, wearing sheer garments that left little to the imagination. There you are, Chief, Talia purred, her eyes hungrily scanning his damp physique. We were starting to think you'd forgotten about us. About that, Jack stammered, trying to maintain focus despite their barely concealed curves. I don't think this is a good idea. You're the daughters of... We know who our parents are, Nessa interrupted with a mischievous smile. And honestly, that's part of the thrill of it all. Besides, we're all adults here, Alara added, gliding off the bed and sauntering toward him. We're capable of making our own choices, and we choose you, Jack Mason. Her lips found his in a passionate kiss, obliterating his resistance. Jack groaned as Talia and Nessa joined in, their hands and mouths exploring his body until the towel fell away. We want to share the true joys of our cultures with you, Talia breathed against his neck. The massage was just the beginning. Let us introduce you to the secret sensual arts of our worlds. Nessa playfully nibbled on his earlobe. There are countless delights we can reveal to you, techniques that will redefine your understanding of pleasure. You'll emerge reborn as a true master of ecstasy. Jack shivered, knowing he should refuse, yet craving everything they offered. His responsibilities and the potential fallout faded away under their enchanting spell. I'm yours, he surrendered. Teach me. Triumphant laughter echoed around him as they guided him to the bed. Lesson 1, Alara declared, a wicked glint in her eye. Before you can experience the pinnacle of pleasure, you must prove your devotion and discipline. You must follow our every command, no matter how challenging or unconventional. Nessa produced a silk blindfold, slipping it over his eyes. You must rely on your other senses. Focus on what you feel, not what you see. As Alara traced a feather-like touch down his chest, she whispered, you must endure the most exquisite temptations without losing control. Only when we deem you ready will you be permitted release. Jack swallowed hard, already painfully aroused and eager to prove himself. I won't let you down, Over the next hour, they subjected him to a sensual gauntlet that tested the limits of his willpower. Alara moved slowly, teasing him with light touches that left him trembling with anticipation, only to pull back at the last moment. Talia drizzled melted candle wax onto his torso and licked away the delightful sting with her tongue, while Nessa stroked him with a feather, tracing maddening patterns on his most sensitive flesh. Throughout it all, Jack gritted his teeth and endured, focusing on his breathing and determined not to disappoint his alluring tutors. Sweat trickled down his brow, and every brush of their hands sent electric currents through him. He felt like he was losing himself in their world, craving the sweet release they kept denying him. As time went on, Jack's senses heightened. He could feel every gentle caress and every breath against his skin as if it were the only thing that mattered. When Alara finally leaned in closer, her lips brushing his ear, he could barely hold back his desire. "You're doing so well, Jack. Just a little longer," she purred, her voice a sultry whisper. But just when he thought he might burst, they would retreat, their playful giggles filling the air as they kept him at the edge of his endurance. Each time they brought him close, he felt like he was teetering on the brink of bliss, only for them to pull him back and tease him further. "Please," he begged, his voice thick with desperation. "I need to release. Just let me." "What was that?" Talia teased, leaning in closer, her lips brushing against his cheek as she chuckled softly. "I need to come. I'll do anything," he cried out, feeling utterly exposed and vulnerable, yet strangely liberated. Nessa's mischievous smile widened. "How about a little game, then? If you can hold out a little longer, we'll see what rewards await you." Jack nodded fervently, knowing he was far too gone to think straight. He could feel the heat radiating from their bodies, the intoxicating scent of their arousal enveloping him. "Okay, I'll try." With renewed determination, Jack steeled himself for whatever they had in store. The trio continued to push him, each girl taking turns to ignite his senses, never letting him catch his breath. Just when he thought he could no longer withstand their onslaught, they would ease off, leaving him gasping for release. Finally, as he lay there trembling, he heard Alara's voice cutting through the haze of pleasure. "All right, Jack. You've earned it. Now, are you ready for the final challenge?" "Yes, I promise I'm ready," he panted, heart racing in anticipation. "Good," she said, her tone low and sultry. "You're going to show us just how devoted you are." Nessa and Talia returned to their positions, and as they resumed their tantalizing caresses, Alara revealed the final twist. "You must let go completely. You have to trust us." Jack's heart pounded as he let himself surrender fully to their touch. He could feel their fingers dancing over him, an exquisite torment that threatened to shatter his composure. But this time, there was no hesitation, no holding back. With every stroke, every gentle whisper, he was drawn deeper into their web of seduction. "Now, Jack," Alara instructed softly, "when you feel that familiar rush, don't resist. Let yourself go." As they skillfully brought him closer to the precipice, he felt the tension building to an unbearable peak. Just when he thought he might explode, they skillfully played him like a finely tuned instrument, pushing him to the very edge without ever letting him fall. "Please, please," he gasped, overwhelmed. "I can't hold it back much longer." "Then don't," Talia urged. "We're right here with you." With a final, overwhelming wave of sensation washing over him, Jack succumbed to the bliss they had been orchestrating. The release came crashing over him in powerful waves, leaving him breathless and utterly spent as he let go of all his pent-up tension. As he lay there, panting and dazed, the trio exchanged knowing glances, their smiles wide and satisfied. "Welcome to the world of pleasure, Jack Mason," Alara said, her eyes sparkling with mischief. He couldn't believe what he had just experienced, an unforgettable encounter that had transformed him in ways he never thought possible. Just then, a loud alarm echoed throughout the ship, jolting him back to reality. Jack quickly scrambled to regain his composure, realizing the gravity of his duties. "I have to go," he exclaimed, hastily throwing on his clothes. "I'll see you tonight." I promise." The trio blew him playful kisses as he dashed out of the room, his mind still reeling from the experience. What had he gotten himself into? He couldn't shake the thrill of danger and allure that seemed to intertwine in this unexpected adventure. Arriving back at the bridge, he barely managed to catch his breath as he straightened his uniform. Fortunately, the alarm had been triggered by a minor sensor glitch, and the ship was safe. But as he oversaw the repairs, his thoughts constantly drifted back to Alara, Talia, and Nessa. How could he possibly return to normal duties after that encounter? The anticipation of seeing them again tonight sent butterflies racing through his stomach. He had to figure out a way to sneak away without anyone noticing. After all, if anyone found out that the chief of security had been entangled with the daughters of prominent diplomats, it could lead to a scandal of astronomical proportions. But as he pondered his next move, another realization hit him like a freight train. Those beautiful women were not just any aliens. They were the daughters of some of the galaxy's most influential leaders. The thought sent a chill down his spine. But as he stepped out of the bathroom, towel slung low on his hips, he was once again met with a shock. Alara, Talia, and Nessa lounged on his bed, wearing sheer garments that left nothing to the imagination. "There you are, Chief," Talia purred, her eyes gleaming with desire as they roamed over his damp physique. "We were beginning to think you'd forgotten about us." Look about that," Jack stammered, his resolve crumbling under their intense gaze. "I don't think this is a good idea. You're the daughters of—" "We know who our parents are," Nessa interrupted, a playful smirk on her lips. "And that's half the fun. We're all adults here, capable of making our own choices. And we choose you, Jack Mason." With that, Alara closed the distance between them and pressed her lips against his in a searing kiss, igniting a fire within him. Jack groaned in her mouth as Talia and Nessa joined in, their hands exploring his body with unrestrained passion. "We want to share the true joys of our cultures with you," Talia murmured against his neck, her breath hot and inviting. "The massage was only the beginning. We want to teach you the secret sensual arts of our worlds." Jack felt his heart race as their seductive words washed over him, tempting him to give in to the desires bubbling just beneath the surface. "I'm yours," he surrendered, knowing he was diving headfirst into a thrilling, dangerous game. Triumphant laughter echoed in the air as they led him back to the bed. "Lesson 1, Alara declared, a wicked glint in her eye. "Before you can truly experience pleasure, you must prove your devotion and discipline. You will obey our every command, no matter how unconventional." Nessa produced a silk blindfold, slipping it over Jack's eyes. "You must rely on your other senses. Focus on what you feel, not what you see," she instructed, her voice sultry and commanding. With the blindfold in place, Jack could feel their presence around him, heightening his anticipation. Alara ran a feather-light touch down his chest, teasingly whispering, "You must endure exquisite temptations without losing control. Only when we deem you ready will you be allowed to release." He could hear their laughter and feel their warmth as they encircled him, and he knew he was about to embark on an unforgettable journey, a journey that would change everything he thought he knew about pleasure, desire, and interstellar intrigue. The blindfold shrouded Jack's vision, amplifying every sensation as Alara, Talia, and Nessa flitted around him like whispers of silk. He felt the air stir as they moved, their playful giggles resonating like music that made his heart race. The anticipation was a living thing, crackling in the charged atmosphere of his quarters. "Relax, Jack," Alara purred, her voice soothing yet sultry. "You're in safe hands." He nodded, the blindfold making him acutely aware of his other senses. The scent of exotic flowers filled the air, intoxicating and sweet. A tantalizing warmth enveloped him, and he could feel the soft fabric of the sheets beneath him, cool against his skin. "Let's begin," Talia announced, her tone imbued with authority. Jack's heart raced as he waited, each second stretching into eternity. The first touch came as a feather-light caress across his chest, making him shiver. Nessa's fingers danced like butterfly wings, tracing delicate patterns that sent jolts of electricity through his body. "Feel everything," she instructed, her voice low and inviting. Let go of all your thoughts. Focus on the sensations. Jack inhaled deeply, surrendering to the moment. As Nessa continued her teasing strokes, he felt Alara's warmth move closer, her breath tickling his ear. You have to hold on tightly to your resolve, Jack. Our goal is to push your limits, she whispered. He nodded again, fighting to maintain his composure. Every gentle touch was a test, every caress a challenge to his self-control. He felt Talia's fingers trailing lower, brushing along his waist, while Nessa explored the contours of his arms, a tantalizing dance of fingers and skin. Let's see how well you can endure, Talia teased, a mischievous edge in her voice. The next moment, her fingers danced along the waistband of his towel, teasingly dipping just beneath the fabric. Ah! Jack gasped, his breath hitching as she pulled back just as quickly, leaving him aching with anticipation. Not yet, Chief. You have to earn it, she said, her tone dripping with playful authority. He felt the heat of embarrassment creeping up his neck, but couldn't deny the thrill of their game. The sensation of being at their mercy sent his pulse racing. What do I need to do? He asked, curiosity lacing his voice. Alara's fingers brushed across his jaw, her touch delicate but electrifying. Just obey. We will guide you through it. You'll discover pleasure like never before. Are you ready for your next lesson? Nessa asked, her voice a sultry purr that sent chills down his spine. He could only nod, fully entranced. Good, Talia chimed, excitement lacing her voice. This time, we're going to test your willpower even further. With that, the trio moved in unison, their hands orchestrating a symphony of sensations across his body. They took turns alternating their touches, one brushing against his skin while another whispered sweet nothings into his ear. The combination was dizzying. He felt both vulnerable and exhilarated, caught in a whirlwind of pleasure. You'll need to keep your body still, Nessa instructed. Every movement will make it harder for you to control the waves of pleasure we're going to unleash. Jack swallowed hard, his body betraying him as every nerve ending tingled in anticipation. He could feel Talia's hands moving lower, coaxing his towel aside, leaving him exposed to their teasing gazes. No peeking, she warned playfully, tying the blindfold securely. With his sight taken away, the world around him became more pronounced, the sounds, the scents, the warmth of their bodies next to him. Jack took a deep breath, forcing himself to focus on the sensations flooding his body. Alara's hands glided down his arms, her touch firm yet tender, sending shivers coursing through him. You need to trust us completely, Jack. Let go of everything else, she murmured. All right, he whispered, feeling his resolve strengthening even as his body betrayed him. Nessa returned to his side, her fingers tracing intricate patterns across his torso. Let's see how long you can hold out before begging for release again, she teased, her voice dripping with playful seduction. Jack could feel his heart racing, the heat pooling in his core as the teasing escalated. Talia kissed his neck softly, her lips brushing against his skin, igniting sparks that raced down his spine. He was utterly enveloped in the sensations, every kiss and caress a sweet torment that both thrilled and drove him to the brink. Please, he gasped as Talia's hands slipped lower, teasingly approaching the sensitive areas they had been avoiding. I don't know how much longer I can take this. Just a little more, Alara encouraged, her breath hot against his ear. You're doing so well, Jack. Focus on us. The world around him faded, leaving only the sensations of their touches and the rhythm of their breaths. Each moment felt like an eternity, stretching into the blissful unknown. As Talia's hands continued their teasing descent, Jack felt himself spiraling closer to the edge. I need you, he begged, feeling utterly exposed. Need us? What do you need, Jack? Nessa asked, her voice sultry and inviting. Please just let me, he struggled to articulate, but the words failed him as Talia's fingers finally slipped beneath the towel's last barrier. The moment they made contact, his breath caught, and he gasped at the electrifying sensation. Good boy, she purred, her fingers working their magic as she began to stroke him slowly. Now hold on tight. We're just getting started. With her gentle movements igniting fire within him, Jack felt his control slipping away. He was at the mercy of their desires, caught in a whirlwind of pleasure that consumed him. Every caress, every teasing stroke pushed him closer to the precipice, and he could feel his resolve crumbling. He gasped, his voice barely a whisper as they played him like a finely tuned instrument. I can't hold back. Then don't, Elara urged, her fingers joining Talia's in a beautifully synchronized rhythm. Given Jack, we'll be right here with you. The floodgates opened, and with one final surge of sensation, Jack surrendered to the wave crashing over him. He lost himself in the moment, the pleasure overwhelming every thought as he let go completely. As he lay there, breathless and spent, he could hear the triumphant laughter of the three women surrounding him, their voices rich with satisfaction. Jack grinned, feeling as if he had stepped into a realm of untold pleasures. A realm where he was no longer just the chief of security, but a willing participant in a game far more intoxicating than he had ever imagined. Welcome to the next level of pleasure, Jack Mason, Nessa whispered, her voice a sultry caress against his ear. He grinned back, already looking forward to what else they had in store for him. This unexpected adventure was just beginning, and he was more than ready to dive deeper into the thrilling world of temptation they offered. Jack lay back on the bed, still catching his breath, the aftershocks of pleasure still radiating through him. The three alien women hovered around him, their eyes sparkling with delight and mischief. He felt both exhilarated and bewildered by what had just transpired. That was just a taste of what's to come, Elara said, her voice low and sultry. She leaned in closer, her lips brushing against his ear as she spoke. But the night is still young, Jack. We have many more lessons to share. Jack swallowed hard, his heart racing again. What do you mean? More lessons? Oh yes, Talia chimed in, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Each culture has its own unique approach to pleasure, and we're here to teach you everything we know. Nessa, her hair cascading around her shoulders, grinned devilishly. Consider it an intergalactic education, if you will. It's our duty to broaden your horizons. Feeling emboldened by their playful banter, Jack chuckled. I suppose I signed up for this course when I walked into the wrong locker room. Consider it a happy accident, Elara winked, running her fingers through his hair. But now that you're here, we expect you to keep up, Chief. Jack felt a thrill of excitement surge through him as he settled back against the pillows, willing to dive deeper into this unexpected adventure. What's the first lesson? Elara leaned back, her expression turning serious yet playful. The first lesson is about trust and surrender. You have to let go of your inhibitions and embrace the experience. You must be open to everything we have to offer. Sounds simple enough, Jack said, though he felt the weight of her words. Trust is essential, but so is communication, Talia added, a knowing look in her eyes. You have to tell us what you like, what excites you, and even what makes you uncomfortable. It's all part of the process. Okay, Jack replied, nodding. I can do that. Good, Nessa said, her voice smooth and velvety. Now, we're going to blindfold you again. This time, it'll be different. We want you to focus entirely on sensation without any distractions. Jack hesitated for a moment, but then nodded. All right, I trust you. With a glimmer of satisfaction in her eyes, Nessa retrieved a soft silk blindfold and gently tied it around his eyes. The world darkened, and he felt the air shift around him as the girls moved closer. Remember, focus on what you feel, Jack, Elara instructed softly. Let us guide you. Suddenly, he felt Talia's fingers gliding down his arms, tracing light patterns that made his skin tingle. Nessa began to tease his thighs, her touch light and fluttering, while Elara leaned over him, her breath warm against his neck. Let go of everything else, Talia murmured. You're safe here? Jack inhaled deeply, surrendering to their caresses. The world faded away, leaving only the sensations igniting his body. He felt a warmth enveloping him as the three women began their dance of exploration, their touches weaving a tapestry of pleasure that threatened to unravel him. Do you like that? Nessa asked, her fingers teasingly drawing circles on his inner thighs. Yes, he breathed, unable to help the sigh that escaped his lips. Good, Talia replied, her voice sultry and encouraging. But remember to tell us if it gets too intense. We want you to enjoy every moment. Jack nodded, fully immersing himself in the sensations. He felt their laughter, their playful banter, and their excitement mingling in the air, creating a heady atmosphere that only deepened his arousal. Now, Alara said, her tone shifting to one of playful authority, we're going to introduce something new. Jack felt a cool sensation against his skin, followed by a gentle warmth. He couldn't see, but he could sense the anticipation building in the air. What is it? He asked, curiosity piqued. Something from my culture, Nessa said, a note of mischief in her voice. It's a special oil that heightens sensitivity and enhances pleasure. Just let it wash over you, Talia added, her hands still gliding across his body. Jack felt them pour the oil over his skin, its warmth mingling with their touches, creating a cascade of sensations that made him gasp. Wow, he breathed as the oil spread across his chest and arms, igniting every nerve ending in its wake. Just wait, Alara teased, her fingers dancing along his sides. We haven't even begun yet. As they continued to massage the oil into his skin, Jack felt the pressure building within him. Each touch was electric, intensifying his arousal. This is incredible, he managed to say, his voice shaky with excitement. Just remember to focus on what you're feeling, Nessa reminded him. Surrender to it. They played with his body, teasing and exploring, mixing gentle caresses with firmer strokes. Each interaction was a new wave of pleasure that crashed over him, leaving him gasping for breath. After a while, Alara's hands moved lower, sliding over his stomach, teasing the waistband of his towel. Are you ready to continue? She asked, her voice low and sultry. Yes, he gasped, the anticipation building to an unbearable height. I'm ready. With a mischievous grin, Talia slowly pulled the towel away, leaving him fully exposed. Jack felt a rush of vulnerability, but also exhilaration as they all gathered around him, their eyes filled with excitement. Now we're going to show you the power of our techniques, Nessa declared, her voice a sultry whisper. Jack felt their hands descend again, their fingers gliding over his skin with newfound confidence. They explored him with an intensity that sent shivers coursing through him, igniting every inch of his body. Tell us what you want, Jack, Alara urged, her voice dripping with encouragement. I want everything, he admitted, his voice trembling with desire. I want to learn. Good answer, Talia praised, her fingers working magic over his skin. Then let's begin the real fun. The trio moved in perfect harmony, guiding Jack into a world of sensation where every touch ignited flames of pleasure within him. He felt as if he were floating, lost in the rhythm of their caresses, overwhelmed by their intoxicating energy. Focus on each moment, Nessa instructed, her voice soothing as she continued to tease him. Feel every sensation and let it wash over you. And so he did, surrendering completely to the exquisite experiences they provided. He let go of all thoughts of duty, of responsibility, and of the outside world. In this sanctuary, he was free to explore, to indulge, and to embrace the pleasures they offered. As the night deepened, he lost himself in their game of secrets, a world where trust, surrender, and sheer delight intertwined to create a symphony of sensations. Jack Mason, the chief of security, had stepped into a new realm, one of tantalizing mysteries and unforgettable ecstasy. And he couldn't wait to see where the next lesson would take him. The dim light of Jack's quarters shimmered softly as he lay amidst the tantalizing chaos created by Alara, Talia, and Nessa. Every brush of their skin against his felt electric, and each sigh they shared echoed within him, merging pleasure with anticipation. Do you know what the best part of this is? Alara whispered, her breath warm against his ear. It's not just about pleasure. It's about connection. Jack nodded, barely able to process her words through the haze of desire clouding his mind. I can feel it, he managed to say, his voice low and raspy. But what's next? Now, we're going to bring you deeper into our world, Talia replied, her fingers tracing lazy circles over his chest. We're going to introduce you to the art of energy exchange. It's a way to amplify our connection, enhancing not just physical pleasure, but emotional intimacy as well. Jack felt a thrill of curiosity mixed with apprehension. Energy exchange? How does that work? Nessa smiled knowingly, her eyes glinting with mischief. It's simple. We're going to share our energies with you through touch, guiding you to open yourself fully to the experience. Doesn't that sound enticing? Elara added, her lips curving into a playful smile. Yes, Jack replied, eager but unsure. What do I need to do? Relax, Talia said, positioning herself beside him. Let us guide you. Just focus on feeling. With that, the three women began to circle him, their movements fluid and graceful, as if they were performing a dance of intimacy. Jack felt their energies swirling around him, a warm and inviting presence that drew him in. Close your eyes again, Nessa instructed, gently tying the blindfold back over his eyes. Focus on your breathing. Inhale deeply and let the world fade away. As Jack obeyed, he felt the air shift around him. The warm scent of their skin and the lingering aroma of the oil enveloped him, heightening his senses. The moment he focused inward, he could feel the pulsating energy in the room, each heartbeat syncing with his own. Now, let's begin, Elara murmured. He felt her hands land softly on his shoulders, sending waves of warmth coursing through him. Feel our energies merging with yours, Talia added, placing her hands on his chest, fingertips pressing gently against his skin. Let go of any tension. Jack felt their energies flow into him, a rush of warmth that spread throughout his body, igniting every nerve ending. Each touch became an intimate conversation, a silent exchange that connected them on a deeper level. Good, Nessa encouraged. Let that energy flow. Imagine it as a river, moving freely between us. As he concentrated, Jack felt the pulsating rhythm of their hearts echoing in his chest. He became acutely aware of the delicate balance of power and surrender, the interplay between his own energy and theirs. Elara's hands glided down his arms, her touch feather-light, yet electrifying. Now focus on what you feel, Jack, she whispered. Let your body guide you. He exhaled slowly, surrendering to the sensation. Talia's hands danced over his stomach, teasing and exploring, while Nessa's fingers traced the lines of his jaw, igniting fires of longing within him. Can you feel it? Talia asked, her voice laced with warmth. Yes, Jack breathed entranced. It's incredible. Good, Nessa said, her touch soothing. Now, we're going to deepen the connection even further. Trust us. With each caress, Jack felt the world around him dissolve, leaving only their energies intertwined. The air thickened with tension, and the pulse of their collective energy surged through him, creating an intoxicating rhythm that synced with his heartbeat. Suddenly, Jack felt something shift. A powerful wave of energy surged between them, a bright flash of light illuminating his closed eyelids. He gasped, not out of fear, but out of sheer exhilaration. It was as if the very fabric of the universe had opened up, allowing him to glimpse something profound. Keep breathing, Jack, Talia urged softly, her voice a guiding light. Stay with us? The intensity of their connection deepened, the energies intertwining in a beautiful dance of ecstasy and unity. Jack felt vulnerable, yet liberated, his boundaries dissolving with each shared breath. I can feel you, he murmured, overwhelmed by the sensation. Then allow it to guide you, Elara said, her hands moving down his torso, bringing him back to the physical realm. Embrace it. He did, focusing on the sensation of her hands, on Talia's soft touch, on Nessa's gentle caresses. Together, they pushed the boundaries of his experience, exploring the depths of pleasure in a way he had never imagined. Remember, this is a journey, Nessa reminded him, her fingers dancing along his spine. There's no rush. Just enjoy the ride. Jack's mind was awash with sensations, thoughts flickering in and out like fireflies in the dark. He felt each touch pulse through him, radiating outwards as their energies blended seamlessly. With every caress, every whisper, he surrendered a little more, losing himself in the moment. Suddenly, the door to his quarters burst open, and a figure appeared in the doorway. Jack's eyes flew open, the blindfold slipping slightly, revealing a figure silhouetted in the dim light. "Jack, I—" The voice cut off abruptly as the figure took in the scene before them. Jack, surrounded by 3 stunning alien women, all of them lost in an intimate exchange. Jack's heart raced, panic flooding through him as he recognized the intruder. It was Lieutenant Harris, his second-in-command. "Sir, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt." Harris stammered, his face turning crimson. Jack scrambled to sit up, the sudden interruption shattering the euphoric bubble that had enveloped him. "Harris, wait. It's not what it looks like." "Clearly, it's exactly what it looks like," Harris blurted, eyes wide as he averted his gaze, trying to regain his composure. "Leave now," Jack commanded, his voice steady despite the chaos swirling in his mind. "I'll explain later." "Of course, sir," Harris exclaimed, hastily retreating and shutting the door behind him. Jack felt a rush of embarrassment wash over him as the reality of the situation sank in. "Great," he muttered, running a hand through his hair. "Just great." Nessa, Talia, and Alara exchanged glances, their playful expressions transforming into something more serious. "That wasn't ideal," Talia said, a frown creasing her brow. "Not at all," Alara added, concern flickering in her eyes. "But perhaps it's a sign." "A sign?" Jack echoed, his heart still racing. "Yes," Nessa replied, her voice thoughtful. "Your life is about to get more complicated. The politics of this ship run deeper than you think, and we need to be cautious." Jack took a deep breath, the weight of the situation settling heavily on his shoulders. "You're right. We can't let this slip out. If anyone finds out, it could jeopardize everything." Tension filled the room, and the mood shifted. The playful energy that had surrounded them moments ago evaporated, replaced by the gravity of their circumstances. "But we're not finished here," Alara said firmly, her gaze locking onto his. "We've only just begun." Jack's heart raced again, but this time for a different reason. "What do you mean?" Nessa stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "This is just the beginning, Jack. There's much at stake, and we need to prepare for what's coming. We can't be distracted." Jack nodded, understanding the implications of their connection. He had crossed a line that could threaten not just him, but the future of the mission. "All right," he said, determination flooding through him. "Let's focus. But once this is over, I want to continue our lessons." "Agreed," Talia replied, a sly smile returning to her face. "But first, we need to navigate the storm that's brewing." As they gathered together, their energies still intertwined, Jack felt a renewed sense of purpose. They would face whatever challenges lay ahead as allies, friends, navigating a path filled with intrigue, danger, and the promise of pleasure. And he couldn't shake the feeling that the adventure was only beginning.